Look in this room, and I've already shared with you how impressed I am with this officer group. But I look in this room and I can see that there's a lot of talent in here. A lot of times I can go speak and people just sit there with kind of a glossed over look, but I see people listening intently. That says to me that there are a lot of people in this room that have passion and desire to succeed.
This is the inaugural meeting for the Student Center for the Public Trust here at UNM. It's an important moment for Anderson and for the Center for Public Trust. One of those moments where we have and achieved some synergy among some of the core organizations here at Anderson and at UNM that have organized around creating a new system and an organization that will talk very intensively and rigorously about questions of ethical leadership, being an ethical person in society, and how we build an agenda to confront corruption and ethics in society. So very excited about the possibilities for this.
What I'm going to do today is to share some things with you and some experiences from some other people that I think will enable you to have a few tools that will help you once you get started in your career to be able to make the effective transition, as you can see from the slide here, from college student now to ethical leader next. So I'm going to use the past to help you see some things from the future. And for me, it's a pretty simple approach that can help you get and transition into ethical leadership. And so if you can only remember one thing, remember that moving and becoming an ethical leader really can be as simple as PI. So I want to show you the simple as PI approach. And PI is an acronym that is performance, image, and exposure. So I'm going to take about the next 17 minutes or so and share a few slides with you on this simple as PI approach. Teach you about some people that I either know or have learned about that this approach has been effective or ineffective for them. But hopefully at the end of this time, you will do two things. One, you'll have some tools that will help you. And two, you'll have some questions to ask me, because I really would love to engage in dialogue with you in terms of some Q&A about some of my own experiences as well. So performance, image, and exposure. Let's talk about performance for a moment. Performance really is what can open the door to opportunity and to success. I played football in college, and fortunately that's what paid for my college education. And the first time it clicked for me in terms of what performance can do for you, I had moved from quarterback because I broke my hand and couldn't throw anymore to free safety. And my defensive back coach said, you know what? We have 20 guys out here that play defensive back on this team. The 4 that perform the best will be the 4 that play. The rest of you guys will be reserves. So the bottom line is productivity. So it clicked for me then that performance is really what opens the door. I was there to get an education, but I also was there to keep my scholarship and to have fun on the football field doing something that I love. And what I learned from that statement that he made was if I didn't perform, I wouldn't get the opportunity to do it. But if I did perform, I would get the opportunity to play and have success. And that's what happened for me. And let me talk to you about this guy here. This is C.C. Spalding. C.C. Spalding, back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, epitomized what performance can do for you in terms of opening doors to success. C.C. Spalding educated himself, or funded his education, by shining shoes. He was known in Raleigh and the Durham, North Carolina area as a phenomenal shoe shine boy. He grew and continued to shine shoes until he got to a point to where he utilized that to pay for his college education. So he went to college, shining shoes. Once he finished, now this is back in the 1800s to 1900s, so he didn't have opportunities really to get a job back then, particularly as an African-American person. So what he did, he went back to shining shoes after he graduated from college. Did it so well, performed so great, had such a magnificent attitude at it that people said, you know what, this guy's going somewhere. And he was in the lowest position you could think of in town, the shoe shine guy. Well, the guy who owned the general store in that city, in that town, in Durham, North Carolina, said, I'm getting old, I have no children to leave my company to. I need somebody that I can trust, that I know can perform to run my business. So who did he go get? He went and got the shoe shine boy because of the attitude and the work ethic that he had shining shoes. That performance opened the door for him. So he came in, and for 5 years he ran that general store, turned it around completely. That door opened another door for him. There was a struggling insurance company that was only 2 years old called North Carolina Mutual Insurance Company. The people who started it didn't know how to run a business, had no clue. So they were in dialogue saying, and C.C. Spalding wasn't even in the room at the time. Remember that, because I'll come back to that in a moment. But they had dialogue saying, who can we get to run this business? We don't know what to do. It's almost bankrupt. We're at the end of our rope financially, so we've got to figure out how we can turn it around or we have to shut it down. Who can do it? What about the guy that runs a general store? He performs, he's turned that place around, it's phenomenal. His attitude is great. Let's talk with him. They brought him in, and in just a few short years, he went from a company that was about to close to a company, and took it to a company that became eventually the largest minority-owned company in the United States. And it stayed there up until the 1990s because of the performance and the platform that he laid at the beginning. So I say to you, performance is critical to opening doors for success and performing ethically, because what people recognized about him was not only did he have success, but he did it the right way. And they were attracted to that. So when he died, the company that he took to great heights was still the largest minority-owned company in the United States, and it remained that way until about 1993. Isn't that amazing? From shoe shine to phenomenal CEO. He became the second minority millionaire in the United States as well as a part of that. So what I say to you is that performance opens doors, but it can open multiple doors. My question for you is, what's behind your door? I don't know, but I know that if you perform, you'll be able to see that because it'll open up opportunities for you. This guy right here, his name is Matt Castle. I put him on there because Matt is an example of being patient until your time to perform comes. And when your time to perform comes, then stepping up to the plate and performing. Matt Castle went to USC. He played behind Carson Palmer as a quarterback. He played behind Matt Leinart. Never started a game at USC. He went to the NFL and he played behind Tom Brady. Tom Brady is one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. So this guy never got a chance to perform in a game. Well, Tom Brady tore his knee up once. First game of the season, tore his ACL, was out for the season, and Matt Leinart got a chance to perform. Matt Leinart that year became the Pro Bowl quarterback, the starting Pro Bowl quarterback for the AFC. He also signed, at that time, the largest free agent contract signed in the history of the NFL, because when it was time for him to perform, he opened the door, he walked through it, and he was successful. And he did it the right way, with hard work, work ethic, and integrity. So my question again to you is, when it's your time to perform, will you be ready? Will you be ready? Because the opportunity will come. Another thing about this performance and the doors opening, you never know if the door that you're interested in is the one that really will be open. This first guy up in my top left, your top right, no, your top left as well, his name is Charlie Ward. Charlie Ward won the Heisman Trophy as a quarterback in college. Never played NFL football though. He played NBA basketball for 12 years. So the door he thought that was going to be open for him because of his work ethic, his performance and so forth was the NFL, but he didn't get drafted. So he also was fortunate enough to be a good performer in basketball, so he went to the NBA and had a great, successful career. The guy guy to the right, his door opened in a very different way than he expected. You guys probably recognize Tim Tebow because this fall he was all over the place in terms of the media. But he wasn't all over the place because he was performing well on the football field, but he was all over the place because his team was performing well because of his leadership. So he came in with leadership and passion, and his team ended up doing well. They ended up having a great winning streak and made it to the playoffs. And the door that opened for him was an opportunity for him to talk about his beliefs. Even if you don't believe in or agree with his beliefs, he created a platform because of his performance on the football field for those beliefs. Guy down at the bottom, Lynn Sanity. If you haven't heard of him over the last 6 weeks, you maybe have been studying really, really hard. But this guy has now taken the New York Knicks, just because of the excitement that has come from his performance, to where they were almost giving away tickets to the New York Knicks basketball games. And now, if you try to buy a ticket to a Knicks game on the street, the tickets are $1,000 because of this guy's performance. Linsanity has gone so crazy that he's copyrighted the name now. So he's got rights to it. So he'll make money for years beyond that just off residual income. The last guy on here is Archie Manning. Archie Manning won that Heisman Trophy that I referenced earlier. He won it twice, but he didn't have a good NFL season. He's the only person in the history of that award to win it twice, but didn't have a good NFL career, excuse me. But he has been a phenomenal administrator at the Ohio State University because that door opened through his performance. So again, you never know what performance is going to open, what door is going to open for you based on performance. This guy here is Jack Welch. Many people say that from a contemporary standpoint, he is probably one of, if not the best leaders of our time from a corporate standpoint. He's not on my list because of what he did at GE, which he took GE from a very well-performing company to the most admired company in the United States for several years. So he did a phenomenal job, but the thing that impresses me most about his performance is what he left behind in terms of his legacy there. The training facility that GE has up in New York is a phenomenal facility, and it's named after him because of the emphasis that he put on training and developing people. GE is known for how great their training program is, but he also had accountability. He's taken a lot of criticism because of one of the concepts that he had where in his company, the top performers got great rewards, but those who didn't perform well, so the bottom 10% every year from performance reviews, those people were eliminated from the company. So if you didn't perform in Jack Welch's company, then you didn't get an opportunity to go to the next level. So the first thing is performance. That opens doors. That's the P of the pie. The second one is image. An image is what others view of you. And we all know the physical view. People want to know is, can this person effectively represent my company? So when you get ready to enter into the marketplace and you go into interviews, one of the first questions that people will have in their mind, but they won't necessarily ask you is, am I comfortable with this person representing my company? Some of that is a visual look. These young ladies here are smiling. They're giving off a positive vibe. They're welcoming in terms of how they look. And that is something that companies and organizations are comfortable putting in front of their customers. They're comfortable putting those people in leadership positions because they feel like they can connect with people and therefore lead and influence people. So the perception or the image that you have is critical. Also, we could say that image is connected to your reputation, your integrity. People want to know, can I trust you? This guy here looks pretty trusting to me. He's got a smile, he's got an image, he's fit, he's outdoors, so he's in an environment that seems to be something that's comfortable, yet he has on a suit. So that says to me that he may have some flexibility. But there are a lot of things that people can gather from a person's image and their demeanor. And some of those images are lasting, some of those images can change. But the key thing is individuals follow people that they feel like have the right kind of image that they desire to have or that they respect. Companies, leaders are interested in the image that you project because they're wanting to know, can they comfortably put you in front of their clients? Can they comfortably trust you as a leader with their employees? So image is critical. Other thing about image is, what do people think of when you're not in the room? What do they say about you? What do they think of you when you're gone? So that takes it beyond physically how you look. That takes image into reputation, integrity, trust. Do people believe in you so much or enough to where when you're not in the room, they're saying the right things about you? And even more so, do they even know you? Do the right leaders know who you are? Do the key people know who you are? Can they speak up for you when decisions are being made? If you have the right image and the right exposure, then they can. Do you show energy and passion? Because that's attractive to people. People that have energy and passion can draw other people in. confidence draws other people in. So this guy right here, Drew Brees, he's yelling, he's getting these other guys charged up. And what I notice about him is people are circled around him. People are gathered and coming to him because of the image that he projects to them and the energy and the passion that he's bringing to what they're trying to do there. These guys here, this is not the image that I think you guys want to represent, and certainly not the image that I would follow. Number 73 right there, he's looking like, man, I just woke up from a nap, you know, not somebody I'm interested in teaming with. Look at number 60. I think he may be hungover from the night before. Number 70 is trying to figure out what joke he's going to crack on these guys, you know. And then this guy in the back here is just looking like he's primed for a prank. No focus, no passion. What I see here is a comedy of errors, and not any one of them would I be interested in following. Where on the contrary, the right image that I saw with Drew Brees and the people around him, how he drawn them in, I think is really a microcosm of what happens in the workplace and what you guys as leaders can do if you project the right image after you've opened the door for yourselves through effective performance. They have to go hand in hand. Now, look at that image. He fooled me, right? I was thinking that this guy was really just this, you know, I thought he was a stockbroker at first, just took a picture outside. But now he may be a mountain climber just disguised as a stockbroker. So images can change. They're not necessarily lasting. Not saying that a mountain climber is anything's bad. In fact, that's a great way to stay healthy and to build your physical image. But what I am saying is that images don't last. So it's not the right thing to judge the book by its cover, but then also we have to keep in mind that we have to protect our image. And here's an example of what I mean by that. In the middle, you'll see a picture there that says, danger, slippery slope. These two guys here, the one on the left is Aaron Bean. The one on the right is Weston Smith. Aaron Bean was the founder, one of the founders, but the first CFO for HealthSouth, a healthcare company based in Birmingham, Alabama. Weston Smith was the third CFO. Their president and CEO, who founded the company, lured them in to a very slippery slope, a very gray area. These guys had great image, had stellar reputations prior to this, but they got pulled into fraud. And HealthSouth ended up being one of the largest frauds in the United States history, because what they did was they made decisions based on the influence of their leader, and those decisions caused them to start a slide that they didn't recognize they were falling into initially. And then once they made those decisions, they told one lie, they changed one number, then to cover that up, they had to do it again. And they had to do it again and again. So much to the point to where Aaron Bean called it quits. He retired and went into silence, but still counting all of the fraudulent money that he'd made. So he ended up being sentenced to some jail time, and now he goes around speaking to groups on college campuses for free, because that's part of his sentencing. He can't make a dime off going around and speaking. Weston Smith, on the other hand, also spent jail time because of his part of it, but at one point he got so sick because he slid down that slippery slope. He was concerned about his image. He knew he was doing the wrong thing. He knew he was unethical in his actions. So he became the whistleblower that helped expose the fraudulent behavior at HealthSouth. So he's out sharing his story and speaking on college campuses as well, but he's able to write a book and make a little money off of his book and all of that, because he finally turned the corner and became the whistleblower. But my point here is, if we don't intentionally be mindful of our image, we can lose it by going down a slippery slope. So my message to you in this is, make sure that if there's a decision that you have to make, if it's even borderline questionable, stop, take a pause, and even ask someone that you trust and know is going to respond to you with integrity before you make that decision. Don't slide down a slippery slope. So that's image. The last one is exposure. Exposure for me is what, who, and who. So it's what you know, who you know, but also who knows you. Because that third piece is very critical. We always have heard, I guess you guys have you heard the term, it's not what you know, but it's who you know? Well, I say it's also who knows you, because the right people need to know you, because those endorsements are critical. So from a what you know standpoint, become a lifelong learner. This guy here, his name is Jim Patton. Jim is under the radar, but he is one of the wealthiest men in the United States. But Jim has gotten to that point because he became committed to becoming a lifelong learner. Jim worked in construction, he worked in manufacturing, he didn't have a college degree, he had an associate's degree, and he was an operator of air conditioning equipment. His company was acquired by another company. He didn't have a clue what mergers and acquisitions were. So he asked somebody and they said, hey, go read it in the Wall Street Journal, read about it in the Wall Street Journal. Jim goes to the library, asks the librarian for the book, the Wall Street Journal. She laughed at him and said, son, the Wall Street Journal is a newspaper. Jim went down the street, got the newspaper, and started reading the Wall Street Journal. And from that day forward, he reads the Wall Street Journal 5 days a week. Now 6 because they have the Saturday edition. But he educated himself by reading the Wall Street Journal and doing a few other things. And now Jim has become one of the wealthiest men in the United States because he is known in the industry as the billion-dollar repairman, because he takes businesses that are really floundering and then purchases them, turns them around and sells them. And what's amazing about Jim's formula and how he does this is about 40% of the time he sells them back to the company that he bought them from originally. Isn't that amazing? But Jim is self-taught. And I know that, I know I'm on a college campus and I'm not endorsing for you guys to leave and go and do what Jim did, because I don't think that's the route for you, or you wouldn't be sitting in this room. But what I'm saying to you is, when you graduate, don't stop learning. Make just this the beginning of you becoming a lifelong learner. That exposure that you can get throughout the rest of your career is crucial and phenomenal for you. You know, what's your commitment to exposure? You got to be committed to growing. I see these kids walking across here, across this bridge, and what I'm seeing is I see 4 young people stretching themselves. I see 4 young people making sure that they are doing things that are going to help tear down barriers in their lives. I'm sure my youngest daughter is about their age, and I'm sure she would be afraid to go across there. But if she did that, then that would open up opportunities for her to overcome some fears, and that exposure for her would be phenomenal. So I say to you, whatever your fears are, be committed to stretch yourself. On an annual basis, commit to doing something that's a stretch for you. On Saturday, I'm going to be running a half marathon. I know probably most of you guys are saying, oh, that's nothing, I've run a full marathon before. Some of you may be saying that. Well, it's a stretch for me. I've done it before unofficially, but you know, I'm determined to get it done on Saturday with a great time. And you know, I'll email you if you're interested in what my time was, but it's a stretch for me as I'm trying to continue to grow and stretch and discipline myself to do more. And that's what exposure can do for you. Also, exposure deals with networking. There are significant ways that you can enhance your abilities by networking. OC kind of shared your background with my background with you, excuse me. But one thing he didn't tell you is that the opportunity that I have now that I'm working in terms of my career came from networking. The gentleman that I showed you earlier, Jim Patton, is a very close friend of mine. He and I know each other from networking. Jim Patton and I served on a board together, and through that board, we got a chance to know each other. We networked, we became good friends, and now this man who is literally a billionaire, he and I have lunch twice a month. And he pours all kinds of things into me in terms of knowledge and wisdom from a networking standpoint. I encourage you to find people like that in your life and share with them. The job that I have now, my career today, is coming around and sharing with people like you and doing things that I hope will help make a positive impact on your life. Well, this all started because the founder of the NASBA Center for Public Trust, David Costello, and the former president and CEO of NASBA, our parent company, he and I were on a board together. And we began to network that way. And then I started a consulting business. I did some work for NASBA, and he said, you know what, I want you to come in and work full time. And I wasn't interested at first, and then he just kept sweetening the pot and sweetening the pot. And then all of a sudden I said, man, I gotta take this opportunity. But it started with networking. Two people that I never, just in my normal daily walk through life, because these guys are both 40 years older than I am, I never would have interacted with them. But through this networking opportunity that we were a part of, I did, and it significantly enriched my career and enhanced my life. And I encourage you to do the same thing. Also, mentoring relationships. Mentoring relationships are part of exposure, and they're critical. I've got two questions there. One is, who are you mentoring and who mentors you? And I say that because in my life, I have experienced significant growth personally and major exposure from mentoring other people. So at any age, you can mentor someone. You can mentor peers here on this campus. You can mentor high school students. You can mentor kids. I encourage you to mentor. I challenge you to go find somebody to mentor, because it will enrich your life just as much as it does theirs. But also I encourage you to find someone and connect with someone that can mentor you, because as you progress through your career, you will run into challenges, and some of them may be challenges that provoke ethical thinking. Some of them may be challenges that really push your value system. The best person in the world to be able to help you navigate through that is a mentor that you trust. And a mistake I made back in 1991 is a gentleman said to me, you need a mentor. Make sure that you have a mentor. And I said, okay, great. So I went for 6 years just walking around, seeing people that I thought would be great mentors and interacting with people on a surface level, and nobody volunteered to be my mentor. So I was like, man, I can't find a mentor. Nobody would do this. Nobody would take me on. And then he said, well, it doesn't work like that. You have to ask them for permission and ask them to mentor you. So again, I challenge you, you go out and be a mentor, but definitely go out and recruit someone to mentor you, because mentoring is a huge and effective part of exposure. It'll make you better in the long run. Those are all my comments. I just want to remind you that really ethical leadership is yours for the taking. There's an opportunity to get out there, and if you don't remember anything else, remember there's a simple approach to becoming an ethical leader, and it's PI: performance, image, and exposure. What I learned early in my career is there's just a whole lot of gray area out there that you just don't know is not the right thing to do. Like, for instance, first job I had, I was at the Quaker Oats Company, and they had a policy where if you went on business travel and your expense was less than $75, you didn't have to have a receipt for it. So the common practice was to go eat dinner at McDonald's, spend 70 bucks, either at the bar or wherever, shopping, wherever, and then turn in a receipt for $74, $73.99, $72. That was a common practice with people that I work with. And then I caught myself doing that one time, and I said, whoa, wait a minute, this isn't right. Called, talked to my mentor. He said, you can't do that, that's stealing from the company. But what happened is I saw that that was a common practice. Even somebody in the company even told me and took me with them, hey, this is how I do it. But I slid a little bit down that slope and then I jumped back up. But nobody told me that. So that was an example of something that really took me, one time to feel real bad about to do, but people are doing it every day. I think they've now changed that policy. You have to have a receipt for everything. So, you can't over-regulate things now, but still go out and get involved in some of the things that they do here on campus. I know the firms, a campus this size, I bet they're here all the time. And if you're not in Beta Alpha Psi, get in Beta Alpha Psi if you can, if it's not too late, or other organizations that will help expose you to those individuals. And then when you go to like some of those events, what I always tried to practice is, I said in my mind, because believe it or not, I'm an introvert. I know I'm standing up here with a microphone and all that stuff, and I'm an only child, and I really process things kind of in an introverted way. So what I would do when I went to networking events is I would set in my mind some number of new people I wanted to meet. And strategically, I'd kind of watch and see who the people were that other folks were gravitating to, who the people were that just based on what they looked like in terms of their image, were people that I said, you know, that person looks like somebody I need to meet. And I would force myself to go and meet 2 or 3 or whatever that number was of people at these networking events. And then it worked out well for me. That's how I started meeting people. And you know, it helped me still not be overwhelmed with a whole room full of people. I don't know, it's maybe 45, 50, maybe 50 people in this room. Before you leave, meet 3 new people. I just want to remind you that really ethical leadership is yours for the taking. There's an opportunity to get out there, and if you don't remember anything else, remember there's a simple approach to becoming an ethical leader, and it's PI: performance, image, and exposure. I'd love to answer any questions that you have, if you have them now, and thank you for listening to me for these few minutes.
Well, the question was, what are some of the benefits of Student Center for the Public Trust membership? And there's several benefits. There's the leadership development aspect, there's the networking opportunity. It's really unique. This chapter is open across all majors, so you'll get to interact with students that you wouldn't normally interact with on a daily basis. There's a great marketability to have been a part of this chapter. It's a great resume addition to be able to say that you voluntarily became part of an organization because you wanted to build a strong ethical foundation to lead you through the rest of your professional life. So those are some of the benefits of being a member. And then some of the activities are your regular membership events for a year will happen where speakers we brought into your campus. There's also a leadership conference that we send leaders from the chapter to get some more leadership development and some training to bring back to the campus. And there's also an Ethics in Action video competition that's actually going on right now. There's information about it on our website. It's www.studentcpt.org. So there's great information there. Another thing that we're doing to try and help open a lot of dialogue between chapters is we're going to implement an interactive component on the Student Center for the Public Trust website. This will allow students to get on a discussion board or a blog and talk to students at chapters across the nation and talk about, you know, who their guest speakers were and what impact they had on their lives, and, you know, what are some of the ethical questions that have come up in their groups, and share them across chapters. So we really want to kind of open up the dialogue not only between all majors that are members of your chapter here on this campus, but between all of the student chapters. So we're really working toward that.
You know, I think having good ethics and being successful go hand in hand. In fact, in my mind and what I've seen throughout my career, that people who lead from an ethical standpoint have much greater success and more lasting success than those individuals who take shortcuts and end up getting quick success, but that success fades. So I think ethical leadership is the only way to go.